Be me. Greater than 22 years old young woman. Grew up believing world was fair. Parents always told me brave words. You can do anything you want. I carried those lines like shield. Thought gender was nothing but detail. Believed effort would always mean success. First cracks appeared back in childhood. Small town school with strict teachers. Boys allowed to run wild loudly. Teachers laughed, said they're just boys. But when I laughed too hard, or raised my hand to argue, faces turned serious, voices sharpened quick. Not proper for a girl, they said. Shame hit me sharper than ruler. Learned to fold words back in throat. Walked home wondering what I did wrong. Mom said, ignore them, you're strong. But those comments burned deep inside. Felt like invisible fence around me. First time I realized rules aren't equal. Years passed, but patterns stayed same. University was supposed to be different. Bigger city, smarter people, open minds. At least I thought so naively. Worked hard on a group project. Friend of mine, same topic, same slides. He presented first with steady voice. Professors nodded, praised him for ambition. Called him confident, brave, full of ideas. I walked up second, same material, same tone. Barely 2 minutes and they interrupted. Maybe speak softer, less aggressive, please. Laughter echoed lightly across lecture hall. My cheeks burned, I forced a smile. He got applause, I got polite dismissal. Felt like my effort weighed half price. I walked back, heart pounding heavy. He whispered, don't take it personal. But how not to when it's constant? Every compliment to him, every correction to me. Silent proof that stage never equal. After graduation came the workplace reality. I entered office with bright ambition. Ready to prove skills, earn respect fairly. Interview questions seemed normal at start. Then manager asked about future family. When do you plan on children? I froze, tried to change subject quickly. Later offer came with lower salary. Excuse was casual, almost rehearsed tone. You might leave for maternity anyway. Same role, same tasks as male colleague. But his paycheck clearly larger than mine. Reason simple, he's considered breadwinner. While I'm seen as temporary addition. My bills still arrive same each month. My rent not magically cheaper somehow. Electricity doesn't ask about my gender. Yet my hours valued at discount price. I smiled, signed because I needed job. Inside my chest anger kept building. Every morning coffee tasted more bitter. Realization sunk deep, rules never fair. Months passed but pattern kept repeating. Meetings filled with loud confident voices. Male co-workers interrupted without hesitation, constant. My ideas echoed back with different names. When I spoke first, silence filled room. When he repeated, applause broke instantly loud. I tried laughing it off at start. Told myself maybe I need stronger tone. But stronger tone labeled me difficult woman. Softer tone labeled me weak, unprepared. No middle ground where I could stand. Colleagues joked lightly, don't be too emotional. As if my logic less valid somehow. I stayed late nights finishing presentations carefully. Only to watch someone else present them proudly. Credit slipped away like water in hands. Still I kept working, biting tongue daily. Thought persistence could bend unfair system. But respect came slower than exhaustion rising. I asked myself quietly each evening. How long can I fight double standards? Outside office life carried same contradictions. Parties filled with whispers, casual comparisons. A guy bragged about girls he dated. Friends clapped, called him confident, real macho. Next week a girl shared her stories. Same people laughed, called her careless, reckless. Same behavior but different judgment always. I noticed silence heavier when it's women. Rules twisted depending who was speaking. I tried ignoring but couldn't unsee anymore. At family dinners relatives joked the same. Cousin praised for having many girlfriends proudly. When I laughed too freely, aunt frowned quickly. Whispered, remember you're still a lady. Every reminder chipped away at my patience. Why must freedom taste different by gender? Why do we measure respect unevenly? I replayed these moments before sleeping nightly. Questions circled like restless bees in head. Answers never came, only more frustration. Slowly I realized I wasn't alone. I began noticing other women's struggles too. A coworker denied promotion after pregnancy announcement. A friend laughed off being called too bossy. My sister told me about classroom moments, where boys teased freely but girls punished. Everywhere same invisible line drawn quietly. Men praised for leadership, women warned for pride. Men forgiven for mistakes, women called careless. Even online comments echoed same tired script. If woman wins, must be lucky only. If man wins, must be pure talent. Each story piled onto weight in chest. I felt fire growing under my skin. Couldn't ignore patterns anymore, too obvious. Maybe truth always lived here in plain sight, just hidden by excuses I used earlier. I stopped blaming myself for feeling angry. Started asking tougher questions out loud. Not everyone liked those questions I asked. But silence felt heavier than confrontation finally. Better to speak than choke quietly alone. One evening conversation with close friend. I shared stories of office and school. He shrugged, said, "You exaggerate honestly." His words cut sharper than I expected. This was someone I trusted completely. Someone who knew my sleepless nights well. Yet he dismissed pain like casual complaint. I asked if he ever felt ignored. He laughed, said, "Guys don't deal with that." In that moment I understood something. Those who never feel weight of bias will always think it doesn't even exist. To them it's theory, not daily reality. I went home that night restless. Stared at mirror, asking silent questions. How many women face same dismissal daily? How many times truth gets brushed away? Not because it's false but inconvenient. I promised myself never to downplay again. Even if voices around chose not listening. My story mattered even if unwelcome. Next morning I carried notebook to work. Wrote down every comment I overheard daily. "She's too emotional for this project. Don't worry, he'll handle the numbers. She probably can't stay late anyway." By evening, page already nearly full. Reading back the lines made me shake. None of it shocking, yet painful still. Proof that bias lived in every corner. Not hidden, just normalized so deeply. I wondered if collecting these words mattered. Maybe small record could open blind eyes. Maybe silence breaking starts with simple notes. Later I shared a few lines online. Responses poured from strangers everywhere instantly. Women saying, "This is my story too." Men saying, "I never realized this before." For first time anger felt less lonely. My notebook became weapon, not burden. Truth written down, stronger than excuses spoken. Small steps, but still steps toward change. With every post I felt bolder inside. Comments reminded me I wasn't isolated anymore. Strangers became quiet allies through simple words. Some shared pain, some shared encouragement too. Still not everyone welcomed what I wrote. "Stop whining, just work harder," they said. "You're making problems that don't exist." Same dismissive tone I heard for years. But this time I didn't stay silent. I answered calmly with facts and examples. For once I didn't feel weak defending. Each reply sharpened my voice with strength. My friend who doubted me at start saw reactions and asked to understand better. He admitted he never noticed differences daily. That small shift felt like giant victory. Maybe real change begins conversation by conversation. Not overnight, but through steady, stubborn truth. I realized words could bend the silence. And silence breaking was worth every risk. At work nothing changed instantly, of course. Paychecks still smaller, meetings still uneven. Yet I carried myself differently every day. No longer questioning if it was real. I knew it was and named it. That knowledge itself became shield of sorts. When interrupted I raised voice again firmly. When dismissed I repeated point twice clearly. Some rolled eyes but some listened carefully. Tiny cracks started forming in old walls. A younger intern thanked me after meeting. Said she noticed how I didn't back down. Her words almost made me cry quietly. If she saw courage, maybe she'd keep going. That thought gave me fresh strength daily. I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. I was showing others it was possible. Even in small ways resistance can inspire. Even in heavy silence one voice echoes. And maybe more voices would follow behind. Outside office I noticed shift in me. I stopped apologizing for speaking too loud. Stopped shrinking when laughter felt too sharp. At dinners I challenged careless jokes calmly. Some relatives frowned but others stayed quiet. Silence itself felt like tiny victory won. I realized fear had shaped me long. Fear of labels, fear of judgment constant. Now I carried anger differently inside chest. Not as poison but as fuel steady. Nights spent writing turned into clarity pieces. Each page reminded me I wasn't broken. Society's rules were the ones cracked deeply. My worth never belonged to their standards. With every word I rebuilt myself stronger. No longer begging space but creating it. Step by step I claimed voice again. And the world couldn't take it back. Even if progress slow, it was mine. That realization burned brighter than any praise. University friends started noticing the difference too. One asked why I seemed more certain. I told her stories of meetings and pay. She admitted facing same things in silence. Said she thought it was only her. We talked for hours in a cafe. Sharing memories of unfair rules quietly endured. Laughter mixed with anger but felt healing. Knowing someone understood without long explanation. That night she messaged saying thank you. Said she felt lighter, less ashamed inside. I realized stories have power to connect. My pain turned into bridge, not burden. More women around me opened up slowly. Each confession another piece of puzzle. Together we saw bigger picture clearer. It wasn't individual weakness but collective problem. And collective problems demand collective voices rising. That thought gave me hope for future. Maybe change begins right here between us. At work, small circle of allies formed. Women who whispered truths during coffee breaks. Each story different yet painfully the same. Passed over promotions, jokes brushed off daily. We started meeting after hours in library. Sharing notes, strategies, quiet encouragement together. Someone suggested keeping record of salaries. When numbers compared, difference was undeniable sharp. Data gave shape to what we felt. No longer just feelings but visible proof. Some grew nervous, afraid of consequences ahead. But courage grew stronger with every meeting. We promised to stand together no matter. To raise voices not as individuals alone, but as united front demanding equal ground. For once hope outweighed exhaustion in me. I looked at these women with pride. Saw reflections of strength I once doubted. Realized none of us were ever weak. Just waiting to finally be heard loud. The day came when truth spilled out. During meeting about yearly performance reviews. Our manager praised male colleague for leadership. Even though project work was mostly mine. My hand shook but I spoke firmly. Said credit should be shared, not stolen. Room went silent, eyes turned toward me. For once I didn't shrink or apologize. Instead I laid out hours and tasks. Evidence of effort nobody could deny. Manager shifted uncomfortably, cleared throat quickly. Some colleagues looked away, others nodded slightly. Tension heavy, but I didn't regret it. Later 2 women from office approached. Whispered, "Thank you for saying that today." Their voices trembled yet their eyes shined. I realized every word spoken plants seeds. Seeds that someday crack through concrete ceilings. Courage isn't absence of fear, it's action. And that day I chose action finally. After that meeting things felt different inside. Some coworkers avoided me in the hall. Others treated me with quiet respect finally. It was a strange mixture of cold and warm. But even silence felt like progress somehow. Because silence meant they heard my words. At home I replayed scene again. Heart still racing but not from shame. This time it was pride pure raw. I thought about younger me in school. Afraid to laugh too loud or argue. She would never believe I'd speak up. She would never imagine voice carrying weight. That thought alone almost brought me tears. I wasn't fixed overnight, still learning. Fear still whispered but softer than before. Courage started sounding louder in my chest. And step by step I kept walking. Toward version of me that feels free. Weeks turned into months, progress slow, steady. Our small group kept meeting, sharing updates. Some filed complaints, others asked for reviews. A few changes appeared, almost invisible first. Slightly fairer schedules, more balanced assignments, quietly. It was a revolution, but it was something. Proof that speaking mattered more than silence. Outside work I carried same fire. Called out unfair comments at family dinners. Challenged friends when jokes crossed the line. Not everyone liked my new sharpness. Some rolled eyes, called me too serious. But I didn't care anymore, truly. Each confrontation chipped away at old fear. I saw respect grow in unexpected places. Younger cousins listened when I spoke firmly. Even my mother whispered she felt proud. Said she wished she had my courage. Her words planted strength deeper in me. Enough to keep going no matter obstacles. One late night I walked city streets. Thinking about path that brought me here. Remembered every comment, every dismissal endured. From classrooms where my voice felt smaller. To offices where paychecks proved inequality. To family dinners filled with quiet corrections. Each memory still burned but less heavy. Because now they fueled my determination forward. I thought of girls still in school. Hearing not proper for a lady daily. Wondering if dreams too loud for them. I wanted to show them example clear. That silence isn't the only choice anymore. That speaking up doesn't mean weakness ever. Stars above flickered like tiny promises bright. Promises of future where rules are equal. Where effort not gender sets the value. Where voices weigh same no matter name. That vision kept me walking stronger every step. Change didn't come overnight, of course. Still faced stares, still heard unfair words. But now I answered with steady voice. No longer letting shame guide my silence. My notebook of stories grew even thicker. Pages filled with real examples and names. Colleagues started adding their stories too. It became record of truth undeniable. Management could ignore one complaint maybe. But not dozens stacked like heavy weight. Soon whispers spread through entire building daily. People realized we weren't afraid anymore. That fear no longer chained us quiet. I felt proud standing among them united. Even small ripples created larger waves slowly. And each wave carried more courage forward. For first time I believed change possible. Not just dream but living movement now. Built from voices once dismissed too easily. Outside the office movement kept growing steady. Friends from other companies reached out quietly. Asked how we started what we did. I shared notes, gave advice with honesty. Told them change begins with small courage. With refusing to laugh at cruel jokes. With keeping records even if unnoticed. With standing beside each other always firm. They thanked me, said they felt less alone. Hearing those words made my chest lighter. For years I thought fight was mine only. But truth is it belongs to many. Countless women carrying same scars daily. Countless stories buried under silence before. Now those stories were rising like tide. Stronger, louder, harder to ignore each day. And I knew once tide begins moving, no one can truly stop it anymore. With every step forward doubts still whispered. Late nights I wondered if worth the fight. Maybe life easier if I stayed quiet. Took smaller paycheck, forced softer voice daily. But then I remembered faces of others. Women who whispered thank you after meetings. Younger girls who listened with hopeful eyes. My own mother saying she was proud. Those moments erased every doubt instantly. Reminded me why I started speaking. Not just for me but for all. For fairness that should never need defense. For dreams that deserve equal chance always. I realized courage isn't loud every day. Sometimes it's just showing up again. Choosing not to give up quietly. And that choice alone becomes powerful. Strong enough to carve new paths slowly. Strong enough to keep hope alive inside. Looking back I saw two versions of me. One who stayed silent, biting tongue always. And one who spoke despite shaking voice. The second version felt more alive, real. She didn't wait for permission to exist. She didn't shrink herself to fit rules. Instead she carved space with stubborn will. I realized world may never fully change. But I could change how I lived. Could demand respect even if resisted. Could inspire others by refusing to bend. That knowledge turned into anchor inside chest. No matter storms I stood more steady. Because I finally believed in my worth. Not conditional, not negotiable, not temporary. My voice mattered, my presence mattered too. And nothing they said could erase that truth. Nothing could push me back to silence again. Now I carry my story openly daily. Not as wound but as reminder strong. That equality is not gift, it's fight. A fight built from countless small moments. From speaking when easier to stay quiet. From demanding fairness when room grows tense. From standing tall even if alone sometimes. I learned silence never protects for long. It only feeds those who benefit already. But words can light fire in darkness. Can reach someone who feels unseen, forgotten. Can show them they're not weak at all. That their story holds same heavy weight. And together our voices become undeniable thunder. No wall can hold it back forever. No excuse can silence it completely now. Change might be slow, but it's alive. And I know it will keep growing. This journey taught me painful truth clear. World doesn't treat men and women equal. Not yet, not in schools or offices. Not in paychecks or in daily respect. But it also taught me something greater. That silence keeps walls standing forever tall. And voices together can start breaking them. My voice once shaky, now steady, strong. My story once hidden, now shared proudly. And I will keep speaking every day. For myself, for my friends, for future. For every girl told to stay quiet. For every woman paid less for same. For every dream dismissed just by gender. I won't stop reminding world of this. Because change begins when someone refuses silence. And today that someone was me finally. What would you do in my place? Do you see same double standards too? Share your story in comments, I'll read. And if this touched you, please leave like. So I know I'm not standing alone.